August is Women's Month, and during the month of August, I will have a few conversations with various people about women, but also people in the workplace and how we make sure we get the best out of our teams, but also give them the best opportunities to grow. For us, the focus is on people and growth this Women's Month. Today, my guest is Nomie Nxumalo, Head, People and Transformation at MiWay, and I believe a very passionate person when it comes to the growth of people within companies. Nomie, maybe a quick introduction on who you are and why the passion for people in the workplace.
Thanks, Rianet. I'm Nomie Nxumalo, as you indicated. I am a mother of four, a wife, yes, of four, eldest being 25, and the youngest is 8. So you can imagine how varied my household is. It is double pigeon pairs, so it's 2 girls and 2 boys. So we're very blessed in that way. My husband, I have a husband, and I'm a pastor in terms of what I also do over and above this, right? Um, but I think for me, people are so varied. People think that just because you say you love people, it means kumbaya and hugging people, right? But I think for me, loving people is loving them where they are and loving them in truth as well. So having the tough conversations and being honest with people is really, really key. People development it's a passion of mine, and I think the biggest thing that I enjoy seeing is those feel good stories, when you help somebody, whether through an honest conversation, through coaching, or through mentoring, and they come back in their future selves and they say, thank you, this is what you've done for me, this is what you've done for my business, whichever way. So I think that for me is really what makes me wake up and go to work on a daily basis.
How important is it to try and create opportunities for people who consistently show up and put the effort in the workplace?
I think it's part of rewarding people. It's part of an employee value proposition that we speak about a lot around development. People mistake EVP for the money part of the reward. They mistake EVP for a nice corner office, cute mug, or whatever the case may be. But the real work and the hard work is really around developing people and those who show up, recognizing their efforts and directing their efforts in the right way. So, for example, Renee, if somebody is showing up, but they're showing up incorrectly, that doesn't help them. So you have to see the effort and really direct it to the desired goal and help them see how to get to the desired goal against the business objective, the strategy, or just their own personal vision and objectives of their own lives. For a very, very long time, we show up and we expect people to see our efforts. It's also helping people find their voice and say, hey, I'm here. I am showing up. This is my expectation in the journey, because you might assume that the person wants to be promoted. But in fact, they don't. They just love what they're doing and they're passionate about what they're doing. So you empower them to be the best of who they are, and where they want to be.
Can you share some thoughts on the importance of recognition within teams and how it impacts overall team performance at the end of the day?
Sure, recognition is so important. I think, it's a validation of the hard work that you put in. It's a validation of self. It's a validation of you as a human being. And people take recognition in different ways. And so I'm not a believer on this sort of blanket approach to recognition, because what might be recognition for you, Renate, is completely different to me. For example, I'm not very big on getting a certificate and getting that award. To me, that is not recognition. What is recognition is somebody coming and saying thank you, or somebody coming and saying, wow, I see the change you made. So for me, that's what drives me. Whereas somebody else, that monetary value might be important, that trip away might be important. So I always encourage organizations, leaders, to individualize and to differentiate recognition according to what matters to people. For a mother, I mean, Mother's Day is coming up soon, being able to see your child's ballet session or being there for when they go swimming, that could be important to them at that particular point in time. And again, we evolve as people. So it's really important that you're in touch with your people. You understand what type of recognition they need at that particular time. So when I was pregnant, my recognition would have been completely different to now. The kids are grown. They don't like me much. I don't think, there are days where I don't like them. Um, but certainly what matters to me now is completely different from when they were babies. So for me, time off for something would have been a better recognition than now. Now I direct my day. You can say to me, here's a day off, and I'd be like, I don't have time for a day off. So it's really different. So differentiation and individualization is key in terms of recognition.
Um, I'm going to throw a spanner in the works with my question here.
Sure.
And it might not be directly related to head people and transformation, but how do you see this new hybrid model working in terms of recognizing people, in terms of getting to know your team, in terms of staying in touch with the needs of your team? Because that was what you were talking about.
Yeah.
The fact that we have to know our team members. Just quickly, your view on did we have to change our management style now in terms of this new hybrid model?
Yeah. I think, and we're still struggling, can we be honest, as corporate South Africa, not in fact global corporate, because it's not a phenomenon that's in South Africa only, where we are finding that a lot of our leaders struggle with the trust issue. Right. So how do I trust my team when they're offsite? We have an issue of leaders who still believe in presenteeism, and seeing people, and instead of measuring output. Of course, working the hybrid model is a bit difficult when you have to apply it in terms of different work streams. So for a contact center, how feasible is it to have it? But we've also seen companies who are completely remote, where the people are offsite completely and being able to sell. So it's just the mindset around, if I'm not around, my people are not around, are not performing. I can tell you this, and I know you asked from a non-HR perspective or a non-people perspective, but more and more in terms of the war for talent and trying to find people, we are struggling with just getting people who, a lot of our talent now are looking for that hybrid environment. So the first question, if you remember back then, flexible work practice meant I could come in later and leave later. I could work. But now it's really that hybrid model that's more forefront when you talk about work-life balance. It's no longer about work-life balance being able to do work and then home. It's now about the flexibility to do remote work.
Yeah. I think that conversation we will still have for a very long time,
Very,
and
yeah,
we will eventually find the right way and find the balance. But I think management styles really needs to adapt when it comes to this whole new
absolutely.
world of hybrid. In any case, my next question is, what strategies do you use to identify and nurture skills within your team members? How do you spot that skills?
So, when we did our organizational strategy, one of the things that we look at is knowing your staff. So when I translated that to the people factor, I said, know your talent. Know who does what. And we've got, I mean, there are tools that we can help you with, from skills gap analysis. But it's really that connection at a deeper level. And that's where you want the line manager to connect with the people that they work with. Our current CEO, my boss, normally says we don't believe in C-suite leadership, meaning sitting in an office and aloof and away from your people, but rather understanding what what things they go through. So if I'm looking at my team, the stresses that they face in terms of recruitment, the stresses that they face in terms of candidates. So every now and again, I'll be on the floor with them and just to get an understanding of what they go through. But at the same time, it's, when you talk to people on a human level, you start understanding where their strengths are. And I'm a believer in strengths, and looking at the strength and leveraging of strengths among the team. So where you see somebody has got a strength, you play on it a bit more and you help, you bring it into the team more. And just making use of the different tools that are out there just to get to know and understand your team more. And once you've done that, you're able then to play them, because there's nothing that's more rewarding than playing where you're most comfortable at. You give more to the team than if you really try and focus on what you're not really good at, because that requires more energy. And I think we we overextend the notion of working on your weaknesses. I don't believe in that. I do believe on people harnessing their strengths and bringing those to the fore.
August is Women's Month, and there's been an increased focus on women in the workplace. So,
Yep.
in your experience, what are the most effective ways to really motivate women to stand out and take leadership roles?
Our theme as the Santam MiWay group, so we're collaborating this Women's Month, but our theme is Be Seen. It's how do we get women to be seen in an organization, to be seen for who they are? And one of the ways that we do that is, we've recently rolled out a mentorship program around the organization. And one of the things that we can do in that space is, should I need to do a presentation? Is it necessary for me to do the presentation, or can I get somebody else in my team? In fact, I should get somebody who's actually done the work, right? And get them to present and give them exposure into, your executive and your manco levels, so that they start getting experience. Because without it, and I mean, I can say I'm preparing you, but if I don't give you the exposure, I'm really leaving you behind. And if I give you the exposure, I must also give you the choice to say, yes, I want that, or no, I don't want that, and be comfortable and okay with your choice not to. So if somebody, and I mean, we've been challenged with the fact that even though, at your basic levels, there's a lot of women in terms of the employment or women coming into the workplace. But as you go up, it's less and less. And it was a case, are they not seen? Are they not given the opportunities? And we did a study, and it was interesting that some women said, actually, I don't want to be at that C-suite. I'd rather be a mom. And do we give ear to that? Because then obviously us C-suite girls, or the chasers of the C-suite, would be like, well, the glass ceiling has been fought for you. Why are you not taking up space and opportunity? But it's exactly that. I think the freedom to choose to be in a space, and the ability to be in that space is really important. And I think I'm very excited about what we're doing, but also understanding that people have the choice to take up the space or not.
Yeah. The next topic, very close to my heart, is knowledge and skills transfer. And you touched on that. But I think an important question for me is, how do we encourage and incentivize, if need be, and motivate the transfer and skills of our very esteemed colleagues who is nearing retirement? I have a lot of conversations in the industry, and it feels like there is a bit of a gap between that generation the
Yeah,
nearing retirement
yeah.
people, and the younger ones. Is it I don't want to, I don't care to? Is it I don't have the tools? Is it I don't know how to? Or is it I don't want to? What is happening in that space? Your view on that?
My sense is not really that they don't want to, it's fear. It's fear of being obsolete. And I
100%.
think any human would have that, right? So if I don't pass on the skill, maybe you'll give me a contract that extends beyond my retirement age, maybe, you know. So I think what we haven't been able to do as industry, and I know in CETA started doing the work, which was really great, having the retiree program in that
Yeah.
space. And I think we need to encourage more and more of that to say you can still play a role and really play on their giving back to community, because I think we all have that element, that self-actualization level that we can play on. And you are an industry expert, you're not obsolete, you can still give guidance. It might not look at it the way that it's doing now, so we need to give them ideas. And I think what we also fail to do as organizations is start doing the preparation years before. And I'm not talking about a year before. I'm thinking 10 years before. I should
100%.
actually, at my age, be looking at who's my successor, what do I need, start preparing and having that what's next conversation in my life. What will happen? And I mean, I remember my grandfather was insufferable when he retired because
Mm.
he felt useless. And I think it also brings their decline, or they get sicker very quickly because of the feeling of being obsolete. So it is fear. It really is fear. And we just need to treat them with the dignity as well, in not saying, here's your KPIs, thou shalt, we cannot say that to people. We need to honor them in that way, and understand that they're still very much part of our economy. They still wanted. It might not be in what they think, and really redesign it's a future world of work for them, and how they can play a role.
Yeah. As women, back to Women's Month, we
Mm.
often talk about supporting each other. Do you believe that the support translates effectively in the workplace? And how can we do it a little bit better?
Sure, we still have a long way to go, as women. And let's be honest, right? The stories of bad women leaders are sadly still there.
Mm.
Women leaders who will not mentor, women leaders who get to a spot and then close off the door for others. I think we still have incidents of that. And
Mm.
I think it's time that we women understand that our mandate is beyond ourselves. When we speak about the women who marched and created opportunity for us to be even in the workplace, with our past laws, the one thing that they there was about multiplication, in that, so wouldn't it be nice if you see more and you pull more women into the same space where you are, creating a sisterhood, which the men have successfully done, whichever way that we find the sisterhood, let's create the sisterhood. Instead of me criticizing, let me help you, let me develop. But more importantly, I think even when we talk about the sisterhood, it's to learn from the younger generation as well, because we always think that because we're older, we're in more senior roles, we cannot learn from the younger incoming generation. And I can tell you, I've got young ones in the team, and the amount of stretch that they give me, just purely because of wanting to hear from them and giving them the space to
Yeah.
say, if we can do it differently, what do you think? And it's just been an eye opener for me to realize that I don't really know it all. But definitely from a pull, bring everybody on with you. It's so important.
Normie, what does Women's Month mean to you personally?
Sure, I must tell you, I struggled with Women's Month for a few years, right? Because I felt we were disillusioned on the equity around women. I was angry, so I went through that change cycle. And I think during COVID, I had a come to me moment, right, around the importance of Women's Month. And because before I was like, yeah, why are we not celebrated every day like men? Why, so I was like doing the whole rebellion thing. And then I realized, you know what? Instead of fighting against it, let me own this month as a month where we can celebrate femininity in organizations. And when I speak about femininity, it has nothing to do with sexual orientation, but it's understanding that I personally can be who I am in my own way, and I can bring my whole self and bring value to this table. And when I get this opportunity of Women's Month, man, I'm gonna use it. Man, I'm gonna advocate. I'm gonna speak out. I'm gonna be there, championing for other women. And any opportunity, listen, I have like speaking engagement after speaking engagement in August, and I'd stop taking them purely because I just felt we just get this 1 month and it's all about talk. But you know what? We will talk, we will speak, we will march if we have to march, we will do whatever it takes so that equality is brought onto the table.
Thank you for your time, Nomie. I appreciate it and I understand your passion.
Amazing.
Um, Enjoy Women's Month.
Thank you very much, Rianet. It was lovely speaking to you. It did feel like an old friend, but thank you for making this comfortable for me as well.
Thank you very much, Nomie. Bye bye.
Cheers, bye.